Riders in this motherfucker. The holidays? Shit. That means 12 days of fuck you. Riders for life.
What's going on, everybody? This is BroncoJuggalo, and this is day number 2 of the 12 days of Christmas. Today I am coming to you with Black Christmas, the 2006 remake. Directed by Glenn Morgan and starring Katie Cassidy as our final girl, Kelly. Now, those of you that watch the Arrowverse will know Katie Cassidy as the Black Canary. And personally, I think she's a great choice for the final girl in this movie, and you couldn't have picked a better looking girl. Our story is this. A killer terrorizes a sorority house on Christmas break that is cut off by a blizzard and totally snowed in. It will not be a holly jolly Christmas. The remake of Black Christmas does differ quite a bit from the original 1970s version. There is a loose structure from the original that it keeps, like Billy and being a killer and things like that, but there are a lot of differences. For one, we get to see what our killer looks like in this one. I'm going to go into spoilers here. Billy was a little boy whose mother and father hated each other. Mommy got a boyfriend. Mommy and boyfriend kill father. Lock Billy in attic for seeing too much. Mommy and boyfriend try to have a second kid. Boyfriend is impotent. Mommy goes upstairs, rapes 12-year-old Billy. 9 months later, a little girl pops out named Agnes, who is Billy's sister and his daughter. Yay, isn't that fun? A few years later, Billy makes his way out of the attic, gets Agnes while she is opening Christmas gifts, and starts basically stabbing her in the face while she has a bag over her head. He then goes on to kill his mother's boyfriend and his mother. And then he takes a cookie cutter, cuts out parts of his mother's skin, makes them into cookies, and starts eating her. That's when the police find him. They take him off to an insane asylum. That's where he stays. Agnes goes from adoption agency to adoption agency, then winds up in a sanitarium herself for a while, and then she is released. And guess where she goes? Right back to the old family home, which is now a sorority house. She starts living under the house, in the attic, in the walls, all that kind of stuff. Creeping and crawling around, and she decides this Christmas she is going to start killing people. At the exact same time, her daddy/brother escapes from the mental institution. After killing a guard, he escapes, kills a fake Santa, he escapes. Like I said, escapes twice, but he escapes once after killing these people. Makes his way back to the house and starts assisting in the killing, even though it's never made clear whether he knows that Agnes is there or not. Agnes realizes that it is her daddy, as she says, coming. And, honestly, I really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. It's a good Christmas horror. It really is. And I'm going to jump into my pros and cons because I want to start with something here. One of my pros is that it was very different from the original, but yet it still kept the same spirit. It felt like the original, but it did not just copy the original. Usually that's what I like in a horror film and a horror film remake. That's what I want to see in a remake. I want to see something that has the spirit of the original, but doesn't just copy it. Now, people say, oh, well, that's what Halloween did, and you hate that. Yeah, well, that's a totally different story. He just, totally disrespected that franchise. And that's my prerogative. I'm allowed to hate what I hate. And right now, I hate my Broncos, because they lost. Actually, I will never hate my Broncos, but I sure do hate the coach. My next pro is the gore and the brutality in this film. It is done really well. It looks really nice. And it is a gory, bloody film. Now, it's not like the most gory film ever, but it's quite gory, especially all the eyeball gouging and stuff. And when they're the killers are eating the fucking eyeballs, and it's really nasty looking, and it looks really cool. There's some great stuff where okay, at the end, and this is going to lead into my next pro, but let me get There's a lot of blood in this film. A lot of blood spatter, a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of stabbings, but the stabbings are done interestingly, so it's very different. There is a lot of mutilation. There's some decapitation. Even though we don't get to see the decapitation, we get to see the after effect. And it was kind of funny to me how the head kind of bounced out of the car. I thought that was kind of humorous. But I really enjoyed it. The gore is so good in this movie. And one of my favorite bits of gore is at the end of the movie, Katie Cassidy's character is in the hospital. And her and, I can't remember the actress's name, but the character's name is Lee. Or Lay, I think it's Lee. They think that they're safe. They think everything is good. Well, it turns out the two killers were alive. Billy and Agnes were still alive. Down in the morgue, people thought they were dead, but they weren't. They were still alive. And they go up there to try and finish the job. And he's wrestling with Katie at the stairwell. And she knocks him over the stairwell. And he goes right on top of the Christmas tree, which has one of those point things on the top. Instead of a star or an angel or Santa, it's got one of those like pointy, I don't know what the hell it is, like cone toppers or whatever. And it impales him, and he's back on the tree like this, like totally spread out, eagle on the tree, you know. And it's coming up through his body. And you could see like intestines and shit wrapped around it, and they're still kind of pulsating. And I thought that was really cool, and I really liked that a lot. I thought it was really done well. And that leads me into my final pro. Now, overall, this whole movie I enjoyed. I really did enjoy it. I think I might have liked this one better than the original. I don't know. They're both very good. As I said, at the end, he falls over the stairwell on top of the tree. The lights on the tree are blinking, and they change colors. So you're looking up at Katie Cassidy's character, Kelly, from his vantage point where he's dead on the tree. And you see Katie Cassidy, and then you see the shadow on the wall behind her. And you see the form of him, and then behind it is red, green, blue. Actually, it might not have been red. It may have just been green and blue. But it was just so cool looking. I really thought, I kind of chuckled at that too. It kind of gave this humorous tone. And there wasn't really a lot of, this wasn't a horror comedy or anything. It made me kind of chuckle. I thought it was really cool, and I really enjoyed that part. I thought it was fun. Okay, so going into cons, because no movie is perfect, I'm going to start with my first two. My first two cons in this are kind of similar. And I get what everybody says when you watch a horror movie, you got to kind of suspend some of your disbelief. My first con is the bathroom tiles. They got one of those bathroom tile floors where it's little bitty tiles like that, right? And one of our characters is at the toilet throwing up, and her feet are like, scraping against the ground. And she dislodges a couple tiles, and you can see that there's holes where the, killers would, or where Agnes would look up through the thing. And probably years before her father/brother Billy would do the same. Because that's what he did, to keep an eye on the family and watch everybody. He would look through the holes. Well, here's my thing with that. They're right in front of the toilet, basically, where your knees, if you were throwing up, your feet would be, that kind of stuff. How did nobody ever notice that those came up? I mean, you'd think somebody would have noticed they moved. You just would think so. I mean, come on. I know my house pretty well. If I'm sitting on my toilet and I've got my feet down there and I'm moving my feet around, I can feel if the tiles move. You know what I'm saying? My second con is another one that you got to kind of suspend your disbelief in, but it is still a con to me. In the hospital scenes at the end, they are in the morgue, and Agnes and Billy climb up through the ceiling of the morgue to get to Kelly. And they climb down from the ceiling into Kelly's room. The ceiling is one of those panel ceilings, where you lift the panel up, move it aside, and you can kind of have access to what's up above. Anybody that knows anything about construction will tell you that you cannot walk on those things. They're too thin. They don't support weight. Now, where the walls are in between the rooms, you can walk on that. You can usually walk along the wall. There's a ledge there you can usually walk along. But you can't walk across the ceiling. In this, they did exactly that. They walked across that panel ceiling. And it just doesn't work because your weight would collapse those. Okay, because those panels that are up there, the metal, it's just pieces of aluminum, sorry, that aren't very thick. And it's just a lattice work to hold that ceiling there. You know, that's why when you were in school and stuff, and you saw the guys coming in, the janitors coming in to fix stuff, and they would just move it and they'd stick the ladder right under it and they'd just be working there on it. That's why. They didn't ever climb up in there because those ceilings don't support weight. Very seldom do they support weight, and it's only usually like along the walls and in the corners. When you walk out across the room, you would fall through. It's just, you know, the way it is. But they don't, and that was kind of disbelievable. But as I said, you just suspend your disbelief. And these are small nitpicky cons that aren't that big of a deal. My final con, and this is my biggest one, and it's the only one that I don't know the exact age of the two actors that played our killers. And I know she's supposed to be disfigured from what happened to her as a child. But it really looked to me like the character who plays Agnes was quite a bit older than the character who plays Billy. Now, Billy is supposed to be about 12 years older than her, being her father. So it didn't make sense that she looked a lot older than he did. I mean, it wasn't just from being, you know, like living in an attic all her life and being all haggard. She literally just looked like an older actress. And for a minute, I thought they were going to go that the mother, it was the mother, like Billy never actually killed her or something, you know. It really did. To me, it looked like the mom. And I was like, no, that didn't. But then I was like, no, it's Agnes. You can tell it's Agnes. It's supposed to be Agnes. And then they talk about it being Agnes. But the actress looks a lot older than the actor who plays Billy. And to me, I didn't like that because it conveys, you know, it kind of fucks with your story a little bit. At least it does in my head, but I've really started to get analytical about things since I've been doing this. So maybe that's just me. Anyways, guys, this is day number 2 of Horrific Nightmare JM's 12 Days of Christmas. This has been Black Christmas, the 2006 remake. Look forward to seeing the Black Christmas original on this list as well at some point. Yes, for some weird reason, I decided to do things ass backwards today. I just decided I wanted to do it that way. I wanted to do the remake first because I hadn't seen it yet. I've only seen Black Christmas, the original, once. And I'm going to do that one as well. So, I just wanted to do the remake today. I've never seen it and I wanted to do it. So anyways, we have that to look forward to. And I found a few other Christmas and winter related titles to do. Don't know if I'll have enough for all 12 days, but we'll see. We'll try to do what we can. Anyways, guys, this is BroncoJuggalo saying have yourself a Merry Christmas and a great December month. Big shout out to Horrific Nightmares Jam, Dave Maggot, and HorrorFan34 that are all doing this challenge. This is BroncoJuggalo saying peace.
Santa better bring